AITA for refusing to let my sister's kids meet mine because of a joke she made years ago. I, 35F, have a sister, Tina, 38F, who I've had a rocky relationship with for most of my life. We're very different people. She's always been the extroverted, sarcastic, life of the party type, and I've always been quieter, more private, and according to her, a bit uptight. Our relationship was strained for years, especially in our 20s. I was finishing college and working part-time while she dropped out and lived with a guy she barely knew. She'd often make passive-aggressive comments about how I thought I was better than her. I never said anything like that, but I guess the way I lived my life rubbed her the wrong way. The worst moment came when I was 25 and trying to get pregnant with my husband, Mike. We had fertility issues. It took 3 rounds of IVF before we finally got pregnant. Tina knew how devastating it had been. She was around during my miscarriages, saw me cry, sat with me once in the ER after I had a panic attack thinking I was losing another baby. She knew. So you can imagine my joy when we finally made it to the second trimester. We told our family at a dinner. Everyone was thrilled. Even Tina smiled and hugged me. But then, maybe an hour later, as everyone was laughing and talking, she made a joke that I'll never forget. She said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "Well, let's hope this one sticks." Everything stopped. My mom gasped. My husband looked like he was about to punch a wall. I just stared at her. She laughed like it was funny, like she hadn't just stabbed a knife into a wound that was barely healing. I didn't speak to her for a long time after that. Fast forward 10 years. I now have 2 beautiful kids, 9M and 6F. My life is very quiet and peaceful. We live in the suburbs. I work part-time from home and homeschool the kids. Mike works full-time, and we've built a very calm, intentional lifestyle. Tina, meanwhile, has had a very different life. She's now a single mom of 3. Her oldest is 13, and the youngest is 4. 2 different dads, both of whom are out of the picture. She works in hospitality and is constantly moving or switching jobs. Her kids have been in 5 schools in 3 years. It's chaos. We started talking again around 2020, mostly through our mom. She reached out to say she wanted to rebuild the relationship, and I agreed, cautiously. But I made it clear I wasn't ready for full contact, and I still had boundaries. Since then, we've talked occasionally. She'll send photos of her kids. I'll reply with a cute or looks fun, but I don't invite more conversation. It's still very distant. Recently, Tina reached out directly and said she'd really like our kids to meet. She thinks it's crazy that they don't know each other and that we're punishing them for our old drama. She suggested a family picnic at a park near her place. No pressure, she said. Just cousins meeting cousins. I told her I wasn't comfortable with that. I don't know her kids. I don't know how they're being raised, what kind of environment they're in, or how they might treat mine. And if I'm being honest, I still haven't forgiven her for the "hope this one sticks" comment. I don't trust her. She got angry, said I was being a snob, that I was judging her kids before giving them a chance. She said it was psychotic that I was holding a decade-old comment against her when people say dumb stuff all the time. My mom got involved and said she thinks it's time I let it go. That Tina's grown up and is trying her best, and that family is family. My dad, who rarely weighs in on anything, told me privately that he doesn't blame me and that he remembers how devastated I was back then. Now I'm getting guilt from both sides. My kids have no idea this is even a thing. They've never asked about cousins, and we don't talk much about extended family. They're happy. I'm happy. So why rock the boat? But part of me wonders, am I punishing innocent kids? Am I holding on to a grudge too tightly? Or am I just protecting the peace I've fought tooth and nail to build? AITA for refusing to let her kids meet mine? If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the content grow and motivates me to create even more great videos. Turn on notifications so you don't miss any new uploads. By the way, I'm curious, when do you usually watch my videos? While working, studying, or just relaxing at home? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you for your support. AITA for refusing to forgive my sister for what she did to my wedding dress. Even though it's been over a year, I, 27F, got married in July last year. My now husband, 29M, and I had a pretty modest wedding, but one thing I absolutely splurged on was my dress. I've always been really into fashion design and vintage aesthetics, so when I found this 1930s silk gown at a vintage boutique, I fell in love. It was expensive, yes, but I paid for it myself with money I'd saved for years. I had it slightly altered to fit me like a glove, and it was my dream dress. Enter my sister, Lauren, 24F. Lauren and I were never super close, but we weren't estranged either. She's always been kind of dismissive of things I care about. She's very into minimalist, modern, hyper-trendy stuff, and has always thought I was quirky in a not-so-nice way. Think constant jokes about me looking like I came out of a period drama, or that my apartment looks like a grandma lives in it. I never took it too personally. That's just how she is, sarcastic, a bit self-absorbed, but not evil. Or so I thought. The day before my wedding, Lauren and I were staying in the Airbnb with our mom and two of my bridesmaids. My dress was hanging in a garment bag in the closet, ready for the morning. I made a big deal out of telling everyone not to mess with it. I know that sounds paranoid, but vintage fabric is delicate, and I was really anxious something might happen. That night, we went out for a small bachelorette dinner. Nothing wild. When we got back, I noticed something was off. The garment bag was on the bed, not in the closet. I immediately unzipped it and saw red wine stains, multiple, splattered across the bodice and lower part of the skirt. The kind of stain that doesn't come out. I started panicking. I couldn't even form sentences. Lauren started crying almost immediately, saying it was an accident. She said she had gone into the closet to just look at the dress again while sipping wine, tripped over a shoe, and spilled the wine on the bag. She said she tried blotting it, but was scared I'd freak out. She then admitted she moved it to the bed because she didn't want me to think someone had broken in. Ich screamed to her. I told her to leave. My mom tried to calm me down, but I couldn't even function. One of my bridesmaids had to call a friend who was a seamstress to come in the morning and help salvage what we could. We ended up removing the sleeves and adding a lace overlay to cover the worst of it. It was fine, but it wasn't my dream dress anymore. Lauren didn't come to the ceremony. She claimed she was too ashamed. I didn't ask her to leave, but I also didn't try to make her stay. After the wedding, I basically cut her off. She sent a few messages apologizing and saying how terrible she felt, but I never responded. I just couldn't look at her the same way again. Whether it was really an accident or not, it felt like such a violation. Fast forward to now. My husband and I are doing well. We just had a baby girl in April. Last weekend, my mom hosted a family get-together to introduce the baby to extended relatives. Lauren was there. She came over, clearly trying to be friendly, and asked to hold the baby. I said no. She looked shocked and asked if we could talk. I told her there was nothing to say. Later that night, my mom pulled me aside and told me I was being cruel. She said Lauren has been going to therapy, feels immense guilt, and is trying to make amends. I told her I'm glad for her, but that doesn't mean I'm obligated to forgive her on her timeline. My mom said I'm poisoning the family by refusing to let go of something that's in the past. Even my husband thinks I should at least hear Lauren out. He's not saying I have to forgive her, but he thinks completely stonewalling her, especially now that we have a child, might be something I regret. I get that it's just a dress to some people, but to me, it was something I dreamed about for years. It was deeply personal, and the timing of the whole thing, the night before my wedding, felt almost like sabotage, even if it wasn't. I've gone over it a million times. Why was she holding a glass of wine while looking at it? Why was she even in the closet? Why not just call me the second it happened? Why lie about it being in the bed? Part of me thinks she didn't trip at all, that maybe she was jealous or just wanted to take me down a peg. She's always made passive digs about me being a princess or having aesthetic delusions, whatever that means. So yeah, it's been 15 months and I still haven't forgiven her. I don't want her around my baby. I don't want her in my life. But now my family is acting like I'm the villain for holding a grudge over a mistake. AITA for not letting it go. AITA for refusing to let my sister's wedding guest stay at my house, even though it caused a huge family fight. So, this is going to be a long one. I, 34M, have a sister, Sarah, 29F, who's getting married in about 2 months. We're pretty close, but lately things have been tense because of the wedding. To give some background, I live in a moderately sized house in the city, about a 30-minute drive from where the wedding ceremony and reception will be held. My house is decent, but not huge. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a modest living area. Sarah's fiancé, Mark, has a big family, mostly out of state. The wedding venue is about 3 hours away from their hometown, so naturally, a lot of their family is looking for places to stay. Since I live closer to the venue, Sarah asked me if some of Mark's family could stay at my place the night before the wedding. At first, I was open to the idea, thinking maybe 2 to 3 guests for a night or 2 wouldn't be a problem. However, things quickly escalated. After the initial conversation, Sarah told me Mark's side was expecting to bring about 8 people to stay over for at least 2 nights. This includes elderly relatives, some young kids, and a couple of teenagers. My house simply doesn't have enough beds or space to comfortably accommodate that many people. Also, I have a full-time job and some projects I'm working on that require my space and quiet. I tried to explain all this to Sarah. I said I'm happy to help where I can, but hosting 8 extra people for 2 nights in a 3-bedroom house is just not feasible. I even offered to help arrange some nearby hotels or find affordable Airbnb places for Mark's family. I also suggested that maybe some of them could stay at the venue hotel or split across a few local places. This did not go well. Sarah got really upset and said I was being selfish and unsupportive. She said families should stick together, especially during a huge event like a wedding. She reminded me how much our parents helped her when I got married, even though my wedding was small and intimate, and how it's only fair to return the favor. She also argued that since I live closest, it makes the most sense for people to stay at my place rather than paying for hotels. I try to stay calm and pointed out that my house is not a hotel and that my work and life shouldn't be disrupted like this. I even mentioned that I'm willing to help financially to cover some hotel costs, but she said that's not the same. The last straw was when Sarah's fiancé Mark got involved. He said I'm making the whole wedding planning more difficult than it needs to be and that I should just be a good host. I said I wasn't going to risk my home being overrun and my life upended for what felt like a selfish request. The conversation turned into a full-blown argument, and now our parents have stepped in. They're pressuring me to put family first and accusing me of ruining Sarah's big day by refusing to help. My mom even suggested I was being rude and disrespectful toward Mark's family. At this point, I'm feeling really stuck. I want to support my sister and be part of her wedding, but I also feel like my boundaries and living space are being completely ignored. I'm trying to be reasonable, but everyone else seems to be painting me as the villain who doesn't care about family. Sarah barely talks to me now, and I'm worried this could permanently damage our relationship. So, Reddit, AITA for refusing to let my sister's wedding guests stay at my house? Or am I justified in protecting my space and saying no to this unreasonable request?